The Elephant and the Clever Cat. In the midst of a dense and peaceful forest, there exists a community of animals living in harmony. This forest is filled with tall trees, clear streams, and the melodious sounds of birds chirping. Here we meet Guntur, a large elephant known as the protector of the forest. With his grey skin and wide ears that gently flap, Guntur has a big heart full of love for all living creatures around him. Every morning, Guntur has a habit of wandering around the forest. He greets every animal he encounters, ensuring that everyone is well. All the animals, from the smallest to the largest, hold him in great respect. Guntur's deep and soothing voice makes all the animals feel safe when they are near him. One morning, as Guntur walked along the riverbank, he saw a group of fawns playing. They were running around joyfully, and Guntur smiled at their happiness. However, behind his smile, Guntur sensed something strange. Odd sounds from afar made his ears tremble. He felt that something was amiss in the forest. On the other side of the forest, Chico, a clever orange cat with bright green eyes, was hiding behind the bushes. Chico was known as a clever and resourceful cat, always seeking new adventures. He often explored every corner of the forest. That day, Chico was searching for food when he heard a rumbling sound from the direction of the forest. With curiosity, he decided to investigate. As he approached the source of the sound, he saw Guntur looking anxious. Chico, always inquisitive, jumped out from his hiding place and approached Guntur. "Guntur, what's wrong? Why do you look worried?" asked Chico cheerfully, although he felt the tension in the air. Guntur looked at Chico seriously. "Chico, I heard strange sounds from afar. It seems something is disturbing the tranquility of our forest. We need to find out what's happening." Chico nodded, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Let's find out. We can be a great team, you with your strength and I with my cleverness." Guntur smiled, comforted by Chico's enthusiasm. "All right, let's do this together. We must ensure all the animals in the forest are safe." With renewed spirit, Guntur and Chico began their adventure. Despite their differences in size and nature, they complemented each other. Guntur, with his strength, and Chico, with his cleverness, were ready to face any challenges that might come. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the rumbling sound became clearer. Guntur and Chico exchanged glances, realizing that their adventure had just begun. What would they encounter ahead, and could they protect the forest they loved? Guntur and Chico continued their journey into the forest, following the rumbling sound that grew closer. The usually peaceful forest now felt tense. Guntur, with his large and steady steps, led the way, while Chico ran alongside him, his sharp eyes watching every movement around them. After a while, they arrived at an open area from where the rumbling sound originated. There, they saw a group of humans cutting down large trees with heavy machinery. The loud noise of the machines and the sound of breaking wood made Guntur feel angry and worried. "This is not good, Chico. They are destroying our home," exclaimed Guntur with a worried tone. Chico nodded, squinting his eyes as he looked at the loggers. "We have to do something. We can't let them destroy our forest." Guntur took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. "But we must be careful. They can be dangerous. We need to find a way to stop them without causing trouble." Chico thought for a moment and then said, "What if we gather all the animals in the forest and tell them about this threat? We can plan something together." Guntur agreed, and they hurried back into the forest to gather all the animals. On their way, they encountered various animals, from birds, rabbits, to deer. Guntur explained the situation they were facing, and all the animals began to gather with anxious expressions. "Friends, we are in danger. There are humans coming to cut down our trees. We must unite to protect this forest," Guntur shouted with a resonant voice. The animals exchanged glances, some of them looking hesitant. "But what can we do? We can't fight against humans," said a small rabbit with a trembling voice. Chico stepped forward, trying to encourage them. We may not be able to fight them directly, but we can use our cleverness. We can make a plan to drive them out of the forest. Gunter nodded in agreement. We must think smart and work together. If we unite, we can protect our home. With renewed enthusiasm, all the animals began to discuss and plan the steps they would take. Gunter and Chico felt optimistic that with cooperation, they could face this threat. As the animals began to discuss, several ideas started to emerge. A parrot suggested making loud noises to scare the humans. A rabbit suggested making traps from twigs and leaves. However, Gunter felt that a more organized plan was needed. What if we divide ourselves into several groups? Gunter proposed. One group can make loud noises to attract the humans' attention, while another group can set up traps around the area they are cutting down. All the animals agreed with the plan. They began to divide tasks. Gunter led the group that would make loud noises, while Chico took charge of the group that would prepare the traps. With high spirits, they began to work together. Chico, with his cleverness, led his group to gather twigs and leaves. He explained to them how to make effective traps. We can create traps that will make them fall or get stuck. This will give us time to protect the forest, he said. Meanwhile, Gunter and his group began to gather sounds from other animals. They shouted, made rumbling noises, and created enough commotion to attract the humans' attention. The sounds echoed throughout the forest, creating a tense atmosphere. After some time, all preparations were complete. The next day, as the sun rose, all the animals gathered in a strategic location, ready to execute their plan. Gunter stood at the front with Chico beside him, ready to lead. As the loggers began to work, their machine sounds echoed throughout the forest. Gunter signaled the birds to start chirping. In an instant, loud chirping filled the air, creating a disturbing noise. The loggers were startled and paused for a moment, looking towards the sound. "Look, there's a big elephant here," shouted one of the loggers, surprised to see Gunter standing tall. "We must be careful." Gunter took a step forward, showcasing his size, while Chico jumped around beside him, trying to draw their attention. "Look, we are not alone. This forest is filled with creatures ready to protect their home," Gunter shouted with a resonant voice. The loggers began to feel hesitant. They did not expect the animals in the forest to unite against them. In this moment of tension, Gunter and Chico hoped that their courage could drive away the approaching threat. However, Gunter did not just want to scare them. He wanted to show that this forest was their home and they would not let it be destroyed. With a deep and resonant voice, Gunter shouted, "We will not let you destroy this forest. Leave before we take further action." Chico, with his cleverness, jumped forward and shouted, "We have many friends here. If you don't leave, we will make you very uncomfortable." The loggers looked at each other, confusion and fear beginning to show on their faces. They did not expect the animals in the forest to unite and confront them. Chico continued, "We will use everything we have to protect our home." Suddenly, the birds that had been chirping began to fly low, creating an even greater commotion. They circled above the loggers' heads, casting a frightening shadow. At the same time, other animals began to move, making strange sounds and running towards the loggers, creating an increasingly tense atmosphere. Seeing all this, the loggers began to feel pressured. "We can't continue this work," said one of them, frightened. "This forest is full of angry animals." In a panic, the loggers began to retreat, trying to distance themselves from the crowd of animals that was closing in. They never imagined that the animals in the forest would unite and confront them so boldly. The rumbling sounds from the birds and the cries of other animals made their hearts race. "Should we leave?" asked one of the loggers, his voice trembling. "They look very angry and ready to attack." Gunter, observing from a distance, felt his spirit rising. He knew this was a crucial moment to show the loggers that this forest was their home. With a firm voice, he shouted, "We will not let you destroy this place. Leave before it's too late." Chico, who was beside Guntur, added, "We will protect this forest at all costs. If you don't leave, we will take further action." The loggers looked at each other, confusion and fear becoming more evident on their faces. They began to retreat further, but Guntur and Chico would not let them go easily. Swiftly, they signaled to the other animals to prepare for the worst. As the loggers tried to escape, they did not realize they had fallen into the traps set by Chico and the other animals. Suddenly, a loud noise from behind startled them. The traps that Chico and the other animals had set began to function, creating even more chaos. "Run!" shouted one of the loggers, panicking. They ran away from the terrifying noise, not wanting to face the wrath of the united forest animals. Guntur and Chico smiled at each other, sensing victory was at hand. "We did it!" Chico exclaimed joyfully. "Our forest is safe for now." Guntur nodded, but he knew they had to remain vigilant. "We must continue to protect this forest. Threats can come at any time, and we must always be ready." With renewed spirit, all the animals gathered around Guntur and Chico, celebrating their success. They had shown that with cooperation and cleverness, they could protect their home from threats. The forest returned to tranquility, and all the animals felt proud of what they had achieved together. After the moment of celebration, Guntur raised his voice. "We must remain united and vigilant. The threats may not stop here. We must always be ready to protect this forest and each other." Chico added, "We have shown the loggers that we will not give up. Let's continue to keep this forest safe and peaceful." The other animals nodded in agreement, feeling the strength in their unity. They began to plan steps to safeguard the forest, such as creating natural barriers and monitoring vulnerable areas. Every animal, big or small, had an important role in ensuring the safety of the forest. Meanwhile, the birds that had previously flown low returned to their perches, chirping joyfully. Their sounds seemed to be a song of victory, filling the air with positive energy. Guntur and Chico felt inspired by the courage of their friends. "Now, let's make a plan to strengthen the defenses of our forest," said Guntur. "We can work together to create more traps and monitor areas that might become targets." Chico, with his high spirits, replied, "And we can also invite animals from farther forests to join us. The more we unite, the stronger we become." With a clear plan, all the animals began to move. They worked together, gathering materials from the forest to create better barriers and traps. Every animal contributed according to their abilities, creating a harmonious atmosphere of cooperation. Days passed and the forest grew stronger. They not only protected themselves from loggers, but also created a safer and more comfortable environment for all living creatures. Guntur and Chico felt proud to see how all the animals united and fought for their home. Finally, as the sun set, Guntur and Chico stood on a hilltop, looking at the forest they had protected. "We have done something extraordinary," said Guntur. "This is our home, and we will always guard it." Chico smiled. "Yes, we are the guardians of this forest. Together we can face anything that comes." With unwavering spirit, they were ready to face any challenges in the future, committed to protecting their forest forever. As night fell, the stars began to appear in the sky, casting a soft light that illuminated the forest. The tranquil sounds of nature filled the air, creating a peaceful atmosphere. Guntur and Chico decided to gather all the animals in the forest to celebrate their success. They wanted to share their gratitude and strengthen the bonds of friendship among them. With enthusiasm, they invited all the animals to gather in an open field in the middle of the forest. When all the animals gathered, Guntur stood before them and said, "Today, we have shown that with cooperation, we can protect our home. Let's celebrate our courage and unity," Chico added. "We must also promise to always look after each other and this forest. Each of us has an important role in maintaining the balance of nature." The animals cheered joyfully, feeling the spirit of unity flowing among them. They began to dance and sing, celebrating their success with great joy. The sounds of laughter and cheer echoed throughout the forest, creating a warm and happy atmosphere. As the celebration continued, Guntur and Chico exchanged glances, feeling proud of what they had achieved. They knew that challenges might come again, but with unity and courage, they would always be ready to protect their home. That night, as the stars shone brightly in the sky, all the animals promised to continue safeguarding their forest. They committed to supporting and protecting each other, making the forest a safe and peaceful place for all living creatures. With hearts full of hope, Guntur and Chico looked ahead, ready to face a bright future with their friends. They knew that as long as they stood united, nothing could threaten their home. The forest would always be a beautiful and safe place, thanks to their hard work and bravery. As time went on, the animals in the forest began to form small groups to guard various areas. Each group had specific tasks, such as monitoring the forest boundaries, safeguarding water sources, and ensuring that no loggers dared to approach. Guntur and Chico became respected leaders, providing guidance and inspiration to all the animals. One day, while they were patrolling, Chico spotted something suspicious at the edge of the forest. "Guntur, look at that!" he exclaimed, pointing towards a group of humans who seemed to be preparing heavy machinery. "It looks like they plan to come back." Guntur quickly gathered all the animals. "We can't let this happen. We must act quickly and smartly. Let's use everything we've learned to protect our forest." With a well-thought-out plan, they began to work together. The birds flew high to monitor the movements of the loggers, while the land animals prepared for any potential situation. Chico and Guntur led their groups to create natural barriers with branches and foliage, making the path to the logging area difficult to traverse. As the loggers began to approach, the animals united and made echoing sounds, creating a frightening noise. The birds began to chirp loudly, and the land animals ran towards the loggers, creating a tense atmosphere. The loggers were startled and confused, not expecting the forest animals to fight back so boldly. "Look, they are coming!" shouted one of the loggers, frightened. "We must get out of here." Seeing the fear on the loggers' faces, Guntur and Chico felt proud. They knew that their courage and cooperation had paid off. "We did it!" Chico shouted, his spirits soaring. "Our forest is safe again." After the loggers fled, all the animals gathered to celebrate their victory. They realized that with unity and courage, they could face any challenges that came their way. Guntur and Chico smiled at each other, feeling proud of what they had achieved together. That night, as the stars shone again in the sky, they promised to continue protecting their forest and supporting each other. With unwavering spirit, they were ready to face the future, committed to safeguarding their home forever. The forest would always be a beautiful and safe place, thanks to their hard work and bravery. Moral message: unity is strength. When all living beings unite, they can face greater obstacles. Collaboration yields an undeniable strength. The importance of protecting the environment. Every creature has a duty to care for and protect their habitat, the environment in which they live. Courage in facing threats. Despite dangers, the courage to fight back and protect one's home is crucial. Solidarity and support. Helping each other in the community is essential for building a sense of safety and comfort. The power of cooperation. Through collaboration, living beings can achieve greater goals and create a positive impact. Hope for the future. With spirit and dedication, the future can be brighter as long as there is effort to preserve and protect. This story teaches many important values, such as unity, responsibility towards the environment, courage, solidarity, the strength of cooperation, and hope for the future. All these values are interconnected and contribute to the creation of a safe and harmonious community. Strength in diversity. Every creature, regardless of size or type, has a significant contribution to maintaining the balance of nature. When all beings unite, they can create a better environment. The importance of vigilance. Always being prepared to face threats is key to protecting the potential of homes and communities. By staying vigilant, we can prevent problems before they arise. The value of friendship. Relationships of friendship and mutual support among community members are essential. When we help each other, we can overcome greater challenges. The courage to speak up. Not hesitating to voice opinions and protect the vulnerable is a commendable act. Every individual has a responsibility to speak for the common good. The importance of education and knowledge. Understanding the environment and how to protect it is crucial. Education about ecosystems can help us make better decisions for the future. Collaboration leads to success. By uniting and helping each other, groups can achieve more significant outcomes than if each person struggles alone. Courage in the face of uncertainty. Being brave against threats and challenges is crucial for safeguarding the things we value. The importance of communication. Effective communication among community members can enhance relationships and friendships. Responsibility towards the environment. Everyone has a duty to protect and care for the environment to keep it safe and healthy for future generations.